Hello, welcome to the 85th episode of the Unifying Force. I'm Kat, joined by Dave and Gio. How is everybody?
All good over here, thank you.
Good. Dave, you there? We can't hear you.
Oh, temporary
Okay,
audio.
now we go. Now I'm
Now
here.
you're here.
We're all good.
Okay, that's good.
Yes. So, yes, we are recorded. We've been doing live for the last couple of weeks, and we've really enjoyed that. But
Yes.
as you will be watching this, I will be winging my way back. Not winging, really driving my way back from MegaCon Orlando. Hopefully with some really cool Star Wars signatures and things in tow. I had planned on cutting back on con season because going to Celebration Japan, but MegaCon got too good.
You thought you were out, but you were brought straight back in.
It's brought straight back in, and it really was. It was. I wanted to be there for a lot of things already, but the Star Wars just kind of sucked me in when they announced the main cast for Skeleton Crew. I had to jump on that. That was like almost like a panic buy. Is go and do that. So hopefully I will have had the chance to meet all the kids, Jude Law, and Bryce Dallas Howard.
For that matter, in a related, I'm going to tie it back to what you just said.
Okay.
We just had a celebration announcement today. Oscar Isaac.
As we are recording, this is Tuesday, so the recording, the announcement is very fresh.
Oscar Isaac has been announced for Celebration Tokyo. Photo ops are 216, autographs are 204. Given his career and his lengthy filmography, that makes sense. It's not I wouldn't pay that price, but in general, for what other people are willing to pay.
It's 204 for an 8x10, though, too. Is your premium ones, and so many are to where it's a premium. Premium is 251, and then whatever they deem as bulky, I'm not sure what. I don't know what I would have Oscar Isaac sign that I would consider bulky, but that's like 292.
So
I guess it's helmet or something, Black Series maybe.
It could be. I would guess that would be bulky, but.
So what's Jude Law's price for MegaCon?
Jude Law, I believe, is 150.
150.
And
okay.
and
that's like photo and autograph, or for either or.
So 100. I looked at the autograph. I haven't looked at the photo op, but the autograph was 150. I assume the way MegaCon and most of those go is it's probably within $20 plus or minus that for the photo op. So and I know that he's got at least the resume that Oscar Isaac has.
Oh, yeah, there's going to be tons of stuff there, the non-Star Wars related, that they're going to be signing for both of the, and that people want to see him for too.
Well, yeah, I can't imagine that even at Celebration is Oscar Isaac better be signing some Moon Knight,
Oh, of course.
All over the place there. And honestly, even though I do love Skeleton Crew, my favorite Jude Law is not Skeleton Crew. I loved him in it, but Gattaca is way my favorite Jude Law. You remember that one? That's taking it way.
I'm familiar with it. I did not see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just lost us for a second. What was your favorite Jude Law project?
Gattaca.
Oh, that's like a hard sci-fi throwback. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of his. I think that's one of his first.
Yeah,
he's major roles.
He is very sprightly in that role. He's not Judd at all.
Yeah.
He's a very, very much younger sci-fi expedition. That just reminds me, because my next question, once Kat was talking about Jude Law and kind of thinking about the other projects, the non-Star Wars material that he's been in, and what would be the things that come to mind. Now that you said Gattaca, which I think is almost a deep cut, but it shouldn't be. That film
Mhm.
should. I'm sure it's got a cult following, but it's quite an impressive film if for those who haven't seen, and it's genuine thought-provoking science fiction, rather than just like splash dash action with sci-fi stuck on the end like New Trek maybe. Don't want to start a
Well,
war here, but
yeah. Well, Gattaca is, I think, it's science fiction with like a political undertone of message. Is it's the kind of science fiction that we don't want to become science fact, but
yeah,
could so very easily you see that happening.
yeah, it's like future dystopian, isn't it?
Mhm.
It's in that Black Mirror mold that I think is now the established kind of whenever technology outstrips our humanity and we see its dark effects, it's that kind of storyline that makes you think twice about just how easily we're submitting to the machines.
Well, and the Gattaca is not so long ago
Mm.
that it was filmed, that in our modern time here, this could almost be the Gattaca times. Like, not far fetched that most of those things that they're talking about and doing there, we're this close on the precipice that it could happen. So I
Yeah.
think it's and it is one of those movies we got to do these one of these days. This should be, write this down, everybody out there. This is a future topic for the show. Movies that are, let's say, 20 plus years old that still hold up.
Mhm.
And I think Gattaca is one of those.
Yeah, it's especially more notable when it's science fiction, that it hasn't been outstripped by what we've just come about as, everyday regular progress. If there's still things in it that are imaginative and you feel like we're earlier on in the pipeline, or it's completely out of left field, then that's a good thing to think of. When you mentioned Gattaca, I suddenly started thinking about other Jude Law projects, because at the top of the mention, I was thinking, I mean, Skeleton Crew is probably one of my favorite projects in Jude Law's filmography now.
Mhm.
I really did enjoy it, and I think a lot of us did have a really fun ride with the last couple of months and having that as our Star Wars. But he's in AI,
Oh
the
yeah.
the artificial intelligence, its full name, uh, um, which is, I think, a really interesting science fiction film, because it's one that is Spielberg's, but I'm sure we might know the history of that story. It very much wasn't a Steven Spielberg film originally, and it kind of transformed into something quite different to, I think, what the original storyline would have had audiences doing. And Jude Law's a huge element in that. He's, I guess, I'd say joint lead or supporting actor in there.
Right.
And yeah, again, a really good science fiction film, thought-provoking as well, like Gattaca, in that same kind of mold, and not necessarily the most cheerful of films, but still a good one to experience if you haven't already.
Yeah. What do you think it would be your favorite Jude Law film there, Kat?
I don't know. I'm scrolling through his filmography right now to refresh my memory, and
Mm-hmm.
he is a good actor, but not. I'm trying to think of one where he's like a lead because he's a supporting in a lot of stuff.
Potter?
Hmm. Okay, there's the guy. You see, I'm scrolling all the way back to the beginning. I did like him in Enemy at the Gates. I thought that was a good
The
movie.
Enemy at the Gates is another one. I love that.
Yes,
one.
that's a sleeper film. I think a lot of people might not have come across who would really enjoy it. Yeah,
That is a really good movie. That's right. He was in Talented Mr. Ripley. I forgot about that.
Yeah, absolutely that. Talented Mr.
Yeah,
Ripley.
and Road to Perdition. He's good in that.
that's mine. That's the most impactful. I remember him, and even though I don't want to spoil the experience, even though it's a very old film.
Right. It's that old, but you're like, no, if you haven't
Yeah.
seen this, you need to go back and do that.
The less that you know about his character in it, the better. The less you know about, I think, any
Mhm.
any of the moments. And I'm somebody who really doesn't think like spoiler alert type stuff is fun to joke about, but
Yeah.
usually the best stories don't get ruined by you knowing
No.
how it's going to go. It's
I
about
mean, I think we could
how
tell
it's
you the plot
portrayed.
to Gattaca and you could still watch it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a sign of superior storytelling. And it doesn't always work for all genres or all tales that are to be told, but if you can still have an enjoyable experience and feel that tension and suspense as you're watching something unfold before you, and it's beyond just story beats ABC, like Act 1, 2, 3, this is where it's going. I think it's a sign that there's something of substance there, not just a superficial fun story, but something more meaningful and connects to you on a deeper level.
Yeah. I mean, and going down the things is I didn't overly enjoy him in Fantastic Beasts. You know, is
That
it
whole
was
franchise is kind of
well, and I'm just like,
Missed opportunities, I think.
well, I mean, I didn't see it wasn't enough of him being allowed to be him. Is he's like locked into the portrayal of another actor but younger, you know, is I've got to be this version of this character and I have to do this to go to this place that we all know and love this character. You know, it's a beloved franchise and I'm just being the younger one. It's not like Ewan McGregor playing a young Alec Guinness that he was allowed to evolve and grow and give it his own perspective of the character. Is, you know, Ewan McGregor is every bit as much Obi-Wan as Alec Guinness. And I don't think that's the case for Jude Law and Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah. Although I will say that when I first saw The Phantom Menace, I did feel like Ewan McGregor was a little contained in that he was and obviously there's a lot more behind the scenes going on, and you can find out more about how it was directed if you go into the documentaries that are on the DVDs and the Blu-rays, and hopefully will be on Disney Plus one day, because there's so much
That would
behind the
be
scenes
fun.
material that Disney Plus could really be giving us. But Ewan McGregor was definitely felt in The Phantom Menace like he was doing a young Alec Guinness impersonation, and he was I felt he was quite rigid. Everyone's kind of rigid in The Phantom Menace. It's not
bit.
just not just for him, and that is a criticism that continues through the prequel trilogy. But I think Ewan diverges from that in that he definitely seems to improve and grow with the role. And obviously, it is easier a few years later. You can make more mature decisions. You can come about to the character from a slightly different angle, and you've had more time to settle in. But I definitely hear you about Jude Law being too kind of restricted and beholden to a kind of young Richard Harris Dumbledore type.
Yeah, it really was. And I think what your point is, in The Phantom Menace, Ewan's character, his Obi-Wan there, was very much overshadowed by Qui-Gon. You know, it's you're playing opposite Liam Neeson, and in a character that's supposed to be your master, literally. So yeah, is it? It wasn't quite there. It was very, So yeah, but when he is out from under that and he becomes the mentor to Hayden Christensen, is there's a lot more personality in there. There's a lot more to the story of that character. I would love to see, and sadly, it would have to be a whole lot of AI and deep fakery at this point. There's a lot of like Anakin and Obi-Wan buddy cop kind of material in the novels and stuff.
Yeah,
that would be amazing for those two guys to have done. It just needed to be done 10 years ago. Maybe more than that now. I'm dating myself.
Yeah.
It's like, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it could have even be fitted in more organically into the Obi-Wan TV series if that show had more time to breathe and had a few other decisions
If
made
that
about
show
it.
is actually about Obi-Wan Kenobi, then maybe it could have been
Yeah,
about
you know, it would help.
that would help a little bit.
Maybe just.
That is the level
Just
of
a little
bait and
bit.
switch that the Disney shows did for a little bit. Obi-Wan Kenobi is not about Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Awful.
And the Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett could have been the Book of Din Djarin.
Yeah, we
and
could have made it.
those-
You know, the Book of Boba Fett could have been about Boba Fett. You know, it's a shock. It didn't have to be about the
And
Mandoverse.
Mando season 3 could have been the Book of Bo-Katan. Easily.
And in that case, that would have been good because they already told Din Djarin's story in the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian. So it's like, and Mandalorian doesn't specifically necessarily only refer to him. It's Mandalorian. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
it could
still
have been
hopeful.
just the Mandalorian, the Book of Bo-Katan.
Still hopeful we can get some other Mandalorian stories there. I think there's definitely appetite for it. But
Dave,
whether there's
John, these ideas are free. We're giving them
there
to you. Run
there's
with them.
plenty out there. Yeah, the Book of Bo-Katan I think would be a great title, as long as people aren't too turned off by
Well, and
memories
you
from.
could go back to that because there is story there that we haven't seen in live action yet. You know, there's her acquisition of the Darksaber, you know, and how she lost the Darksaber.
Yeah,
So
definitely. And Katie Sackhoff's an ageless person, let's be honest. So
very true.
very capable of playing Bo-Katan at almost any age.
Or we could tell the story of how they forged a great war or whatever to retake Mandalore. Oh wait, they did that in one episode. I forgot.
Yeah, that's the curse of whatever possesses Disney to have these live actions be the 8 episodes or whatnot.
Yeah.
And then other Star Wars news, I think, since our last show recorded was they announced did we talk about that last time? The new screenwriter on the Rey movie. I can't remember if we talked about that.
Oh, George Nolfi.
We mentioned that or not? I've talked. Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah, we might have. But it's like, okay.
Well, yeah. So let's tie it back to where we started. This is I'm thinking with the introduction of Oscar Isaac to the Autograph Hall, we're gonna get something about the Rey movie, you know, at Celebration, because
they made that mistake in London already. I don't know if they want to make it again. I'm not even joking about that because it's like they have real egg on their face for that, and I don't. It's like that's too much of a deja vu thing to bring them out bring her out again. Here's the new writer, and it's like, well, have they actually written a script yet in the 2.5 months between you announcing this and Celebration? Because if not, and you haven't even checked it out yet, then we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's too soon for what the great hope would be, which would be teaser. But, you know, they haven't started any level of nothing.
Like pre-production hasn't even really gotten underway yet. They're still waiting on a script. So somebody just mentioned that in the cantina about what kind of announcements are they really going to have this year.
Oh, wow.
And I thought they'll make it, maybe they'll have an Andor panel, of course.
Yeah, we'll get. I would be surprised if we don't get some preview of Andor season 2, if not an episode of.
Andor like they did with the Mandalorian at Chicago.
Yes,
and that was
like they did with Obi-Wan in Anaheim.
Yeah,
right.
So that's a given. But the thing is, with Celebration, it's a lot more than just what panels they're doing. Like the majority of the panels aren't even about the new stuff anyway. It's about like creature and visual effects or the music of Star Wars, the sound, all sorts of neat stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure as far as announcements if they should really make any announcements. They might not need to, because if Vision Season 3 is now a thing, they could have that as a big focal point at Celebration as well.
Well, I think we'll get some news and potentially a trailer for The Mandalorian and Grogu. I think that would be a definite thing. Maybe we'll hear more about the possible Dawn of the Jedi movie.
That's right,
Yeah.
because I assume they're gonna go through that this year, maybe to start.
It would make sense because
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think James Mangold's now free with his Bob Dylan biopic releasing.
Yeah,
That should be his next project, right? It should be Dawn of the Jedi.
it
There's
should be.
no more things that can come in the way of him starting it. A complete
Oh,
unknown is
bite your
done.
tongue, because you know how they're always.
Well, yeah, I mean, if it becomes Disney looking at the box office returns on a complete unknown, the Bob Dylan biopic with Paul Atreides, then I guess everything can be
Well, I think
up in the air.
if they can get past the Indiana Jones box office debacle, then I think they'd be good on that front.
Yeah.
Plus, that was, that whole debacle was back in summer 2023. If they were hesitating and thinking they're going to get rid of him for that, they probably would have announced that by now.
And again,
Yeah.
that
Guess that's
was
a good
your
sign.
own damn fault, Disney. That's your
Yeah, because they just spent way too much
Is-
money on that movie.
Yes, is too much money on the movie, way too much money on the marketing. Why in the hell did you need to market an Indiana Jones movie?
Here's the craziest thing, though. I and some people that I know are huge Indiana Jones fans, friends and family. We actually didn't see much of the Indiana
Really?
Jones marketing, and that's what's crazy, because if you're plugged into this as a community, as a fan, as a film goer, anyway, and you're aware it's coming, and you know you're going to be there for it, but you hear that there are hundreds of millions going on marketing.
Mm-hmm.
That's ballooning the budget of the film and its total, and obviously denting any prospect of it being profitable. You're just thinking, where, how are you spending that money? Where is it going?
Well, I don't
Who's
recall
seeing
seeing
it?
much merchandise for it either.
Yeah, I didn't see anything. I'll be honest.
Merch for Indy, there were Black Series for all of the characters.
Mm.
And okay, I take that back. I'm not positive that there were specifically it was for the characters during the movies, but there were Black Series figures that dropped about that time of those characters, whether they were older versions of the characters, like Marion in the red pants or whatever from. So there were Black Series, but were they specifically for Dial of Destiny? I don't recall.
And that's also not the movie Dial of Destiny that you're going to use to try and bring in new fans. Also, it's like, no. So that's a purely grandfathered in fan base. So you're right. They don't need to spend a ton on marketing. I remember how much
there's no point in bringing in new people with the same old characters. It's like Helena was the most you knew, and I don't see them even attempting to continue and throw off the series with that. Now, if you were going to bring some in, if you'd done it before in the previous movie, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull with Shia LaBeouf, that's your new generation. But dear Lord, how bad did that go?
Yeah, they had the cast for Dial of Destiny was stacked as well, because you've got Toby Jones, Antonio Banderas, which I think a lot of people will forget is even in that film.
Was in what?
Ronaldo on the boat. Mads Mikkelsen as well, obviously. So really big name cast, and you've got the legacy actors beyond Harrison Ford as well coming back.
And compare that against the amount of money and sale and online active players they've had for the video game that they just put out less than 2 months ago, or about 2 months ago now. 4 million active players on a single day in January was the highest they'd had, and they haven't released the sales information. They said it was the 14th best-selling game of, I think, the month, but that was only because it had been out barely a week. So it'll be interesting to see what the sales are, but I'm sure they're going to have much bigger profits on that, because it's going back to heyday indie using their CG to try and make it look like young Indy, set in 1937 and all that. And like that's but that's a whole other story with that whole thing. But that's something else they could bring to Celebration if they wanted to, because apparently the developer is so happy with the reception to the game that they're already begging Lucasfilm to let them do a sequel. So that's
and we've proven that we can see Indy at Celebration before. That's has precedent.
Yeah, and that'd be neat, because I'm sure with Harrison loving Indy that if they were to actually do an Indiana panel, like just for the whole legacy of the character, everything, he'd probably be down for something like that. Doesn't have to do autograph hall or anything, like that.
No,
type of stuff,
I mean, if I were Harrison Ford, I'd be down for like free trip to Japan just to show up on stage for a little bit. Come on. There were, by the way, I'm looking over here. There were labeled Dial of Destiny Adventure Series. Like it says Dial of Destiny on the package.
Adventure Series, what?
It's the Black Series figures.
Oh.
And there were, but I mean, Indy only quasi looks older slightly. There's a little bit of gray and a little bit of, but the images in the packaging are of much younger Indy. It's kind of Dial of Destiny in name only. There's a little bit of gray here. There is the Helena character. So they did specifically do figures for that, but I don't know that they spent a great deal on the sculpts or things of of Harrison. At least is the other characters they would have had to do it, but Helen and Shaw you do have.
In the other news, the first trailer for Fantastic Four dropped today.
Yes,
Dave. Let's get.
It took me all day to watch, but I did just watch immediately before this. What did you think, Gio? We'll start with you.
Oh no, I wanted to hear your first thoughts. Okay. All right. I just had one view again, very, very recently. When it first started out, I was thinking, is this my am I waiting for the resolution to improve? Do I need to let the screen buffer a bit more? What's the aspect ratio going on here? Is something wrong with my YouTube? Do I need a refresh? But no, then it unfolded, and I think it's going for that retro futuristic vibe really well, and I think it shows promise. I think we've got 4 characters that have huge chemistry. The actors seem to have genuine chemistry. I know that's kind of cheating in a way. I'm kind of metagaming here, talking about the real people who are going to be playing these roles, but that's also part of the culture and the community, isn't it, behind these films? And I think just in the little interactions and bits of dialogue they have in the trailer, everything seems all the ducks are aligned as I'd want them to be. They're not doing a total another reboot, retread origin story, which is great. And Spider-Man.
Or are they? I don't know. It seems like they're going to be talking about a lot of how they got.
They're going to do the same thing they did with Incredible Hulk, where it's like literally within the opening logos that they're showing you flashes of it, because everybody knows that. Like, they're not going to waste time to do that a third time.
They shouldn't. And
like, they didn't do that with the MCU.
Spider-Man Homecoming.
They skipped over all that. So
yeah, that's exactly. That was my. That was something that I was holding on to as well. The fact that you've got a proven track record with Disney and Marvel doing that with Spider-Man. It was a fantastic first entry into what became a trilogy, Spider-Man Homecoming. But you didn't need to retread anything to do with the actual character origin story, and it was still a great first adventure. And this is called The First Steps.
Yeah.
We don't need to see everything microscopically back from, I'm putting myself on the spot here. It's the date of the what's the date? What's the year date of the first Fantastic Four comic? 1961?
61, I think it is. 61.
Yeah. I'm drawn to 61. I have never actually come across this fact, so I will pleasantly be
I would assume it's
enlightened.
or maybe it was before, because I can't remember, because Spider-Man was what, 62, and this is, Marvel's first family, as they call it, like their first real. I think that was before then. I can't remember.
Fantastic Four 1961.
Oh, okay. Well, we got that out.
Cool. Yeah, we got it. Nice. Yeah, it definitely has that feeling. I really love the idea that they are embracing the kind of space age optimism of that time, and Fantastic Four fits perfectly into that in history and in universe. So it's a good time to take a look at the family. I think you can get some good before and after, but I think, as we mentioned, you don't need to have a linear storytelling from the beginning of everything to where you want to go with these characters. You can start already in the time that you want, and you can look back. It doesn't need to be like full heavy flashbacks. It could be just one quick, summary scene and we're done. Or you can let character moments relate to parts in their history and then let that unfold on screen, and that would work just perfectly as well. So I think it's an optimistic first trailer. What did you think?
I liked that it looked very retro, and like you were mentioning, that whole 60s idea of what the space age was going to be. By 2015 or 2020, this is going to, no, but that's kind of what they imagined. I like that Ben Grimm looks like a comic accurate version of Thing. That's fine. I like that they very deliberately didn't show you Mr. Fantastic in action in this trailer. They showed the rest of him, but not him. It's like, save that for something else. Comic accurate Galactus. That's neat to see. A little glimpse of that at the end of the trailer.
He's not just a gas cloud.
Yeah, he's not just a gas cloud. And I like how everybody, they're treated as if they're almost like celebrities already. Like everybody, like kids know about them. They drive around in that super retro car. It's like, this is really neat. And I assume it's supposed to be set in the 1960s. But then again, their future looks too future compared to what, say, the world looked like in the first Iron Man movie in 2008. It's like, if this is what the 60s are supposed to look like for Fantastic Four, then 2008 Iron Man would be a lot more futuristic looking in society itself, so to speak. So I'm not sure if this is supposed to start in some parallel dimension and then they get sucked over into the MCU because of their multiverse crap. I don't know, but that was something I kind of picked up on. Yeah. But I liked and I also like that the cast is age appropriate, because they're like, like Mr. and Mrs. Fantastic are like, well, not quite middle age, but an older couple. Like they're not kids like you had in the reboot one that Josh Trank did, or even
like the
20
Miles Teller as being Reed Richards is he's supposed to be the fathery figure of the family, and
right. And you had a little bit of that with some of the way they did the first two that Tim Story did, but so I kind of like that they're not doing that. So, but we'll see. I mean, I think it was pretty good for a first trailer, because, like they say, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And it couldn't look like a cheesy bad. And I like that they don't really tell you the story either, but I assume it's safe to say that, aside from the fact that they're not recycling Doctor Doom again, at least not in this movie, that they're going to go with a very different type of story. It's like, you don't want to just do that again.
Well, they look like they've got multiple villains, as you saw Galactus again toward the end, and whether he even factors in or if they're doing a bait and switch shit again, and he just comes in to set up the sequel, I don't know. But the guy with the long gray hair and the beard looks
John
like
Malkovich.
Yeah, I can't think of the character name, but there was a character that appeared in the Fantastic Four comics. He was balding, but he had the big silver hair, and it was the villain. Oh my gracious, I have to remember who that is. But so, like I said, is you've got more stuff going on than just that.
Red Ghost?
Yes, that.
Red Ghost. Yeah, I heard that earlier today in another reaction as well. It makes sense because they teased that they're having other characters besides the Fantastic Four. I mean, other good guy characters I've heard about, maybe. I'm not sure. So that might be there. I know they got Ralph Ineson voicing Galactus, which is great. He's fantastic. He's in perfect voice casting for that character. It's going to be fun. So yeah, so what did you think overall, Dave? Like, did you like it? Did you hate it like the Superman trailer?
No, I did not hate it like the Superman trailer. I am not going to be the
That
old
was-
man like yelling
That
at
was a
clouds.
particularly intense brand of hate.
I am not going to be that guy on this. Now, let me preface this with the fact that I enjoyed the first one. I enjoyed 2005 for what it was.
So did I. Yeah.
Yeah,
I liked it.
I liked Chris Evans' portrayal as the Human Torch. I thought he was a very good Johnny Storm. Jessica Alba, although probably a little bit younger and thrown in just because she was Jessica Alba, was okay. I don't even pronounce what's the dude's name. How do you say Gruffold's first name? Their Reed Richards good. I enjoyed the visuals at least of Michael Chiklis's Ben Grimm. You know, it was of the time. The one in this one, it looks comic accurate, but it looks comic accurate. It hasn't taken a little bit of a step in the thing into the real world. They didn't quite ground him. He's a little too orange and like right off the Technicolor page.
Well, they use CGI as well because that rather than trying to make that a costume like they did in the previous films.
So for doing it with a costume with Chiklis, and for the time at 2005, I thought that was damn good. But I enjoyed that for what it was. I liked some of the performance in the, what was the other one? 2015, 17, somewhere in there.
2015
is like, I didn't mind Michael B. Jordan in that one. Kate Mara, I thought was decent, except again, way too young. But I like where they're going with this one. I like the retro futurism. It looked like I was getting ready to watch another like episode of WandaVision. You know?
Yes. Exactly.
It looked like they were going there. So I think that kind of gives this a place in the multiverse that, you know, we can see where it may lead to tying into all the Avengers at some point. Because honestly, the more I think about it, I don't know if they're going to fight Galactus, or are they going to have Galactus come in and save that for having all the Avengers?
I mean, you do see him in New York City.
You do.
Yeah.
I don't picture that being a cliffhanger thing. That would be, if that was a cliffhanger, I'd imagine they would save that for a surprise in the movie. Because they announced very early that he was going to be in it, and who they cast and all that. But I mean, to introduce and set up, if you're marketing that, we're going to introduce the idea that this is going to be a cliffhanger ending. It's like, I mean, they got to make a solid movie, and I think they know that.
Yeah, so it shouldn't be that way because, especially as far back in history as this appears to be, you know, assuming this isn't another world where the 60s are in the 2020s, you know, if this is occurring simultaneously, who knows where they can go with that. The multiverse opens all doors and makes thinking of this just crazy. But yeah, I think it looks like it's going to be a fun movie. I think it will be. I think it's going to be. Pedro is a really interesting choice, but I like the age appropriateness, and I love the cheesy stash for you know this. For just the time period kind of thing that they've got going. It's Pedro and
right. Silver Surfer's going to be in this movie, isn't it?
I
think I heard that confirmed.
I think I heard they cast somebody for that. They were going with like the female variant, I think.
Okay.
Well, I mean that would make sense as the Silver Surfer is the Herald of Galactus. He generally show up beforehand.
Yeah.
So thus makes it okay. Yeah. So Julia Garner is cast as the Silver Surfer.
Mm,
And
I just saw her in something. I
who
can't
is
remember.
Hauser? I don't know the character Hauser, but the guy that from Cobra Kai is apparently Paul Walter is cast in this as Hauser, whoever that may be. But yeah, I think this definitely has promise. And looks good. I mean, you've got the comic accurate suits. They went back to the retro old suits and did that right. And unlike the Superman trailer, they fit the actors, which is helpful.
It's one thing you want, appropriately fitting suits.
Oh God, I just looked her up. I don't know Julia Garner for Silver Surfer. I don't.
I don't know. I don't know. I know.
I know that's a different variant in the comics, but
nothing about
the iconic Silver Surfer is kind of what you want to see in a good movie. Because they had Lawrence Fishburne for him the first time around, at least for the voice.
Yeah, I mean, Silver Surfer. Who do you need for that? You need I don't know, the dude that played the T-1000 in Terminator.
Oh yeah, Robert Patrick. That would be perfect.
I think he might be a little long in the tooth for that at this point.
Some silver CG, it's all right.
Yeah, he's just gonna be covered in silver anyway.
Yeah, we saw it work 30 years ago. It'll work again. It's fine.
We can't get it. Oh, damn it.
Yeah, that's your little thing. Just throwing it in there.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the actress at all. I've seen that she's from Ozark.
She was just in that new bad Wolfman movie that Lee Winnell did as the female co-lead.
Oh, okay. And
I don't know what that is.
Is that film been doing well at all anywhere?
No, it got released on January 17th, and it's already on VOD, digital purchase and rental. It cost $25 million, and after 3 weekends, it only made just under $30 million.
Yeah, I'm looking it down, and you scroll down here. It's like Wolfman nears end of. Apparently, bad enough that as much of the movie watcher as I am, I've never heard of that at all.
Yeah, and it's
it was very disappointing film.
I heard of it just happenstance about a week and a half ago. When someone was telling me they saw something awful at the cinema, and I was like, "Oh, what was it?" Wolfman. I was like, "What? That's a re-release?"
Let's just go in her defense. There are many amazing actors and actresses that have been in properties that absolutely stunk. Like here's my segue: Jack Nicholson in Wolf.
I have not seen that. The premise sounded interesting, but I haven't seen it.
By all means, watch it, but it's one of those things.
I'm looking at the poster for it right now, and I'm already laughing.
That I do not believe will make our future list of movies that are 20 plus years old that still hold up.
Yeah.
I don't think
so. But yeah, so Julia Garner was in Ozark, and she's a 3-time Emmy winner for that role. So she can act.
Well, there you go.
I just read the premise for that Wolf movie you mentioned, David. It's like so schizophrenic. This guy thinks he's been by a werewolf, but he was also fired or replaced by a young executive who's gunning for his job, so he's going to try and stop him. Oh, but now he's turning into a werewolf. What the hell is that?
The 90s, because I don't remember exactly, but what was that? Was that like 1993, 96?
94, I've just
right there in the middle.
Oh gosh, that's funny.
Yeah, I saw that in theaters, boys and girls.
Not to be confused with the film Wolf from 4 years ago with George McKay, which is okay, but not as bad as that. Okay.
Indeed.
But this is where I think the Fantastic Four, the first steps, has potentially a really good foundation, and that is, you mentioned WandaVision, and you get that from the vibe of the trailer, and it's Matt Shakman who directed and ran the entire WandaVision, every episode. So whatever you feel about that as a Disney Plus series, I think most people would agree. You don't even need to have seen the other Marvel series to know it's one of the strongest Disney Plus shows, at least for the first 70-80% of it.
Yeah.
The end kind of diverges a little bit into maybe a direction that it didn't need to go.
It gets cumbersome in the
Yeah.
you know.
But
Yeah.
then it seemed like they were open to the idea of a spin-off from it with Agatha, and that's what they got, and that's what's been appreciated. So
And they're still talking about doing a White Vision series from that. It's like every time somebody mentions that, I completely forget that that's even a thing.
Right, yeah.
From that show.
Yeah, I had done until you just brought it up now.
Yeah, it's like, oh, let's retcon more stuff. It's okay. We have another version we can pluck from this dimension or that dimension. This.
This is the multiverse.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I do have some more. I do have slightly more confidence in the multiverse concept by having this person, Matt Shakman, who did WandaVision and did, I think, a really fantastic interpretation of it to set up the multiverse saga. Forget what happens later.
I
His
don't know
foundation was really good.
this movie even needs to address the multiverse. Is the multiverse would be a way in which this could be brought into the larger MCU later. I mean, I don't, you know, because I mean, the Fantastic Four has already appeared in one faction in the multiverse. Is we saw them in the future, whatever.
I forgot. It definitely does take place in an alternate dimension outside the MCU timeline because, like, what's his name? Nick Fury says to Tony Stark at the end of the first movie, "What, you really thought you were the only one?"
Yeah,
it's like the Fantastic. Given the trailer shows that they're like celebrities, practically, like everybody seems to know who these people are. Well, then that can't be from the same universe that the first Iron Man and the rest of the so-called sacred timeline. Otherwise, that would be
it can't have been because Howard Stark would have been all over these people, because they're in New York in the Baxter Building, which appears to be strikingly the same as the Stark Tower, very slightly architecturally off, but is Reed Richards and Howard Stark would have been, best buds.
Yeah. And also, like we said earlier, the aesthetic, the retro futuristic vibe of the 60s that they've got in that space age, they're still very ahead of where our 60s were at the time. So and we know that the sacred timeline, the MCU main main branch, that's much more reflective of like a grounded ish version of our time. And
because we've
2008's Iron Man is very much 2008.
That time frame in the main MCU when they went back to get the Pym particles and met Howard Stark. That was late 60s, early 70s. So we've seen that piece in the time frame, and it was not this. I mean, as limited as we did see it, it was very grounded in what the legitimate, like, real world times would have been of that.
Yeah. And I think this hopefully will also inspire some confidence. If you're just going through the filmography of Matt Shakman as a director, he's prolific amongst TV. And when I say TV, I'm not talking any old show. He's done everything. He's done, satirical comedy. He's done 2 episodes of Everybody Hates Chris. He's done Ugly Betty. He's done Weeds, Chuck. These are all comedies of very different tone. And when you think about the Fantastic Four, there is a definite comedic part to their story in every iteration of them. That's a huge element. And then he's done more serious things. He's been involved in House, in Mad Men. And Mad Men is the exact time period that we're looking at the beginning of this trailer, that kind of early 60s.
And of course, he produced and directed WandaVision.
Yeah, exactly. Directed all 9 episodes. And then he's also done other prestige TV. He's done Game of Thrones. He's done The Boys. He directed an episode of Succession. And if somebody can direct these hugely different genres and very independent shows and do well and have acclaimed episodes in all of these different projects, I think that's a really good sign.
Oh, I'm
and
looking back now, and like he was a child actor in shows that I watched. Like he was Graham Lubbock, J.R. Lubbock in Growing Pains. That was a heck of a sitcom in the must see, not must see TV, but the family night of TV. Right there in the Full House era kind of thing.
Yeah. And so he'll understand from a first-person point of view as well the family dynamic and that part of growing up in a show like that. That's what you want in the first family of Marvel. It really is. And maybe the biggest accolade of all is he's directed 43 episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Tip of the hat to that.
Safe to say that's a completely different brand of humor than what they'll put in a Marvel movie.
Well, exactly, but it shows versatility and obvious and confidence from so many different, like, really big time TV shows, TV series. He's been doing everything, and he singularly got the Disney Plus Marvel era going with WandaVision and did it really well. So, if it's his chance to pave the way to the redemption of the MCU, at least on the big screen, then maybe this film could be the one.
I've been binging that show a lot lately. I don't know how it doesn't have any Emmys. It's like the best comedy that's been on TV for so many years. I binged the whole first season of The Bear a couple weeks ago, and I didn't laugh once. I'm like, okay, it's like a drama, but it keeps getting nominated and winning in these comedy categories.
Yeah, it's not a. I've not watched it fully. I liked the first 2 episodes I did see, and it's definitely high on my list to watch. It's definitely among Disney Plus FX type shows, or Hulu. I think it might be on in the US. But it's not a comedy. I think that's been that kind of, the fumbling people do for like award season, where they want to make sure they get an award for this show, and they'll kind of sneak it into a genre that it doesn't really belong in.
Yeah,
that happens a lot.
Yeah, it's laughable. It's like, really, it's like I watched the whole season, and like a lot of it is about all the chaos that you have like in the kitchen, and there's some funny moments in it, but it's not like the part when they accidentally spike the Kool-Aid with Xanax or something like that at the kids' party accidentally or something like that was kind of funny, but it wasn't. But it's not like a comedy, and it keeps getting all those Emmys every year, and it's like. What is this? Just because you wanted the cast to be at the party? I don't understand.
It's usually how these things work. Yeah.
Oh my god, like the Golden Globes. Oh, Challengers nominated under comedy and musical category. Really?
See, maybe that's one that I need to start watching next. Is I've been on a kick. Hold on, what I'll circle around. Matt Shackman was it listed in his early life as a child actor. He was in Good Morning Miss Bliss. Have either of you ever heard of that?
No.
Good Morning Miss Bliss was a very short-lived series that evolved, that tanked, went out, but came back very shortly thereafter. It was essentially the pilot for Saved by the Bell.
Okay.
Saved by the Bell. I know you're a little generation. It's a generation.
No, I know what it is.
I know what it is.
They don't sound anything alike in title.
No, they're not. But Good Morning Miss Bliss. Miss Bliss was a character in Saved by the Bell. Dennis Haskins is the principal. It was the similar characters. They revamped, renamed, made the kids hipper, cooler, whatever, the whole deal. But the same kind of premise was what that was. But imagine how different. We would not have him, I don't think, as the director of Fantastic Four if he had been on Saved by the Bell as opposed to Good Morning Miss Bliss. If he had blown up with Mario Lopez and Elizabeth Berkley and that crew.
Wow.
And he's directed a lot of
sliding doors moment.
A bit of Fargo, a lot of House, a lot of Philadelphia, and a movie that has a really great cast but a terrible rating is from 10 years ago with Bruce Stern, John Malkovich, Billy Bob Thornton, Oliver Platt, Michael Stuhlbarg, oh, but the lead is Liam Hemsworth. That might be it. That might be why it's got a 29%. But it's like,
What's it called?
Well, it's got Malkovich,
called,
and he's got Malkovich back. So, chance
called-
number 2.
it's called Cut Bank from 2015.
Huh.
So
Well, where
yeah,
I
again,
was going with
and then
that-
he's directed a lot of episodes of The Great, which is Catherine the Great mini series or whatnot on. I'm not sure what service that's on.
Mm.
But yeah, he's
Yeah.
got a lot of stuff on his resume.
And houses.
Oh
Yes,
yeah.
you know.
That's kind of the level of where I've been lately. Is I'm watching a new show, but it's gotten me back into an old show. I'm watching The Pit with Noah Wyle.
Yeah.
And that one's a good one that keeps you, because it's one episode a week. You get one episode a week, and it's essentially an hour of chronology of a shift in an ER. The only thing I'm saying is what it led me back to watch is ER. That is a show that holds up. And I think the biggest thing about The Pit that is a missed opportunity, you would have had to pay out the ass for the licensing. But Noah Wile's character in The Pit should have been John Carter from ER grown up. It should have been in real time. They should have paid the money for the right to use that same name.
That'd be a big paycheck.
I know. But it's like the thing. Well, I think there's got to be some level of deal already, because immediately as soon as I watch The Pit, ER is the first thing that pops up on the what should you watch next after every week. So it's already it's licensed to the same streaming service.
What's it available on for you to stream?
I think it's is it FX? Who is it? Where is The Pit?
It's on HBO Max.
Or is it on Max?
It's on Max.
Yeah, okay, it's on Max.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so The Pit is a Max original, and then they also have the licensing to show the 30th anniversary ER shows, because I'm like deep into season 1, and the seasons, guess what? They're really long. There are a lot of episodes in the season. A lot of things happen. So we can tell a lot of a story. Star Wars.
Yeah. Disney. Marvel.
Well, we were talking about this last night. Well, it wasn't last night as you guys are watching this, but is on Monday's episode of Clone Wars Revisited. Is they're on episode like 18 of Clone Wars season 1, because there were like 22 episodes of Clone Wars season 1.
Yeah.
Massive amount of stuff happens. There's so many little arcs and things that you can go through in there.
Yeah, it's like they're spending so much money and they're getting less than half the content practically. And obviously live action is going to be more complicated than animation in terms of the amount of stuff you need to pull off a live action. Or as animation, it's all like in the various studios. But here it's like, yeah, it's a big job, but it's like, well, because the thing is, before you even get up in the morning on a production day, the money's already been spent for the day to take as much time as you need to film as much as you want and just go for it, So I don't know. It's I joke that it's kind of like made for the TikTok generation, where the episodes have to be short and we have to only have a few. See, like certain shows can't go on. Some shows are bloated. Like I just watched one on Hulu called Interior Chinatown, which is this really neat idea about this guy who realizes that he's trapped as a background character in a police procedural TV show that's about how Asian Americans get stereotyped in movies. It's a good idea premise, but I was much more invested in the characters and the family and all of their dilemma than the mystery of it and the procedural aspect, the fake reality that they're trapped in.
Right.
And it goes on for 10 episodes. And it's like, sometimes it could be too long, but it's like, but in Star Wars' case, you have compelling things that could also, doesn't need to be, it could be. It's not so much that you're dragging it out. There's enough content there to make like Skeleton Crew could have easily been quite a bit longer.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the finale could have
Yeah.
been 2 or 3 episodes in itself. Much more of a battle right there.
Yeah.
Right, because at the end of the 3rd episode, you get the sense that they're about to take off from this navigational point on a long adventure. The 4th episode, we do that really rushed thing on that hidden planet. You spend the next 2 episodes on one planet, and then we're back home already.
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
Yeah.
Like I said, I thought the 4th episode was going to be fine. I was not as disappointed in it originally because I thought we were going to get 4 or 5 episodes that were like that, which is like another retro show that I really enjoyed, Sliders.
right.
I thought we were going to get Sliders for a little while of them going to the different planets. But
Yeah, the 7th and 8th episodes could have, there was enough material in there to go over and give us a 10-episode season easily. But that's a decision they take early on, you think, and sometimes it doesn't seem like it's paying off much the way they're counting these episodes.
Right, because
I don't know. I mean, we have to go with maybe they did, maybe they didn't. We all enjoyed it. We wanted more. If they'd given us more, they might have screwed it up. So,
leadership,
planning. Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I think that's what we're talking about is things that are going well in here, and we've come up with topics for new shows like and again, all of you watching this, if you will go ahead and just kind of let us know, Virtual Cantina Network at gmail.com, if you have an idea for what you would like to hear on the first, or you can email us directly right there at vcunifyingforce at gmail.com and just let us know what you'd like to hear. Is we're out there listening to what people are talking about. We're listening to just what's going on in the world as it happens and reacting as it goes. And hopefully coming forward, we'll, have some more episodes where we can talk about a really good, really, really good Fantastic Four movie that has come out and aired. And when is that supposed to be out? Is that
July this year?
Yeah. Okay. So Marvel is killing it. Marvel is just everywhere. Captain America, Doomsday, Fantastic Four, everything's going Marvel.
Yeah, they're needing some wins again, though. It's not just that Star Wars has misstepped. Marvel's made some mistakes too.
Well, this is not a Star Wars year. They're kind of it's all the same kind of production deal. As we had a lot of Star Wars, we're getting a lot of Marvel. We had a lot of Marvel and a lot of Marvel that was kind of and let's get what we get, and let's hope at Celebration, Oscar Isaac rolls out on the stage and gives us some good news.
Yeah. You do think, I mean, the obvious thing is you do think about the sequel trilogy and, is there a future for Poe Dameron on screen? If there's a future for Rey on screen, you expect to see Poe there as well.
Well, you would, or here's the thing is they don't have to be together either. We could get a Poe and Finn buddy movie that's completely separate from Jedi or anything else, except I guess if you get Finn, it gets a little Jedi-y because I'm going to go with Finn's got to be Force sensitive there. So
yeah,
you got to pick here. Does Finn go with Rey and is he on that track, or does Finn go with Poe and is he on that track? And it could go either way.
Here's an idea. The movie it doesn't have to take place over years. It could be over a few days. You could just go hang out with Poe and go on a fun adventure, then hang out with Rey on another adventure.
All of these things could be. It is the case. But yeah. So I guess people, thanks for watching. And we will see you again in 2 weeks, and hopefully with some really cool stories from MegaCon Orlando and whatever else is going on hopefully also some really cool announcements we'll get in the next couple of weeks from Star Wars Celebration. We'll hear some more stuff. Is they're on a good track there with Oscar Isaac, and I'm hoping we hear some more. So until then, all, may the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you all.
Always.
Thanks for joining us.